Dustin settled in.
He's done well. He is getting comfortable with the operation. He's very particular. So those guys have done a good job. They've worked really hard the last week or so, just getting that, in a comfortable spot. So it looks good.
Mechanics and nuances to that kicking game. Is that a real challenge to get a guy up to speed with that group in this short of a window?
No, I think just the communication is important amongst him and Corey. Specifically on where the ball needs to be placed and how it's leaned and all that type of stuff. So it's been good.
Was that a tough transition for you to have to make, a tough decision for you to have to, be a part of, to move on from Cade and just say, we've got to make a change here?
Yeah, you build relationships with players and things like that. As far as the kicking specifically, I've worked with a number of specialists and kickers over the last 5 years, as a coordinator. So I feel like I've had experience, in that regard. So excited about Dustin and, his opportunity to contribute to our team.
As you came for the season, what do you plan to do to try and fill that void?
Yeah, it was disappointing for him. He had worked so hard to come back, from injury, and obviously sustaining that in the KC game was heartbreaking, for the kid, because he had worked so hard to make it back, and then, in football, injuries are going to happen, and it's a part of the game, and we're ready for, to take that next step and not replace him, but, someone else needs to step up and, contribute to those units.
Hey, Bubba, yesterday you had Jerome Ford taking reps at kick returner, but the guy kicking the ball was the practice squad kicker. Why was that instead of Hopkins?
We're going to have our guys kick on different days at times, Typically in a week of work, Dustin's going to kick on Thursday and Friday. That's what he's done in his career, so just try to keep him as comfortable as possible with his process, and Lucas will kick on Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Is Dustin's injury history the reason that you kept the practice squad kicker?
I'm sorry?
Is Dustin's injury history the reason you guys kept the practice squad kicker? I think only 5 teams that kept it.
I think that we're always trying to improve our roster in some capacity, whether it's as a specialist or a young developmental player in a Big Four setting. So, we felt that it was a good opportunity to have that guy on the practice squad.
What do you like about Jerome Ford as a kick returner, Bubba?
Jerome does a lot of good things. He's got good vision. He's an aggressive runner. He's fast. He's got good contact balance. He's strong. I think he's got some toughness to him. Every Friday, and I shouldn't really say this now because I hope none of the players see it, but every Friday I show a high school highlight film from one of our players at the end of my meeting. Just try to lighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to show his tomorrow, and it's probably the best highlight film I've seen in the last 6 years, so excited to do that.
With Jerome, when you have a younger player who has to miss an extended time in training camp, what's most important? Obviously it's his second year here, but to make sure he's staying on top of things, and how have you seen him handle that part of it? Yeah, I would say for ball handlers specifically, for us, he's just got to get as many catches pre and post practice, especially off the live foot. That's important. He's done a good job of that since he's been back, and excited to be able to see him moving forward.
With young guys like Diabate and Hickman, the undrafted guys that made it, what did you see in those guys as special teamers?
Number one, they both made a lot of plays. So you want to have playmakers on the field in some capacity, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams. Both of those guys made an immediate impact on defense when they had opportunities, and we're hoping that they can ascend and contribute to our units.
Have you decided how you're going to handle the fair catch rule, and does your thinking change at all without having a guy like Jakeem?
No, every game, every play, every situation is different. I'm not going to really give you my strategy on how I see that going. But, we'll be prepared, and our players will be prepared to handle all the situations that arise throughout a game, throughout, some type of whatever scenario you want to bring up. But we'll be prepared and ready for whatever we need to do to handle that particular situation.
Kind of unusual that a kicker has been in the league 9 years. years, he's never kicked here before in this stadium yet. I know there's one game Hopkins had.
Yeah,
It's just PATs in that particular game.
that is kind of I didn't actually know that.
So how do you get him acclimated? This is the toughest.
So it was good to be able to get down there last week and hit in the stadium. That was his first time that we had, really live operation, and it was at the stadium, so that was good. He hit the ball well. The thing that's works to his advantage just overall as a specialist, as a kicker, even though he had been in LA the last 2 years, he's been in Washington the previous however many. So he's kicked outside, he's been in the elements, he understands, wind patterns and wind conditions. So that, I think, bodes to his advantage and our advantage as far as, acquiring a guy this late in the game. And he's a true professional, he really is. He's worked really hard at, getting comfortable with those guys. So it's been good.
In terms of your job, what was it like to lose your number one returner and then have to switch up your kickers in the final week of camp?
Yeah, I mean, things are going to happen. Things happen in sports and football, and you gotta. It's how you bounce back. It's how you get back up off the ground. And how are we going to make it right? So things happen in a game. I mean, there's guys go down in a game. It's how are you gonna come back? How are you gonna respond? So I feel like this is some adversity, with our team, and we gotta come back fighting.
DPJ, the punt return.
Donovan has been the primary returner back there. We have other guys that can do it. So, we're always going to go with the best available, depending on their offensive and defensive availability. So.
But I'm sure you got geeked up as a player for Sunday. So how's it different as a coach? Or do you get geeked up just in a different way?
It's different. I feel like as a player, you have more like true nerves going into a game. It's different, As a coach, you feel confident as long as you prepare well. Like I feel like I prepare well. I feel confident in my ability to get my players in the right position, but then you're kind of at the mercy of them. You don't have any real control over the performance. You're just trusting in them that they've prepared well and have practiced well, and you've put them and trained them in specific situations. So there's definitely differences. I would say that, like me personally, I got more nervous for games as a player.
What is it you like about Donovan as a punt returner? What about his skill set makes him good for that?
Like I've been around a good number of ball handlers, punt returners, guys like Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman, that really track all those guys did a really good job of tracking the ball in the air, right, and adjusting. Like I think that Donovan's judgment is excellent. I think he's got really good hands. He does a pretty good job setting up on the ball. Very, very reliable ball handler. So
following up on that, I mean, one of his big things on offense as a receiver is contested catches. Is there sort of does that sort of go hand in hand? No pun intended.
I would say, yeah, because I think the contested catches thing is obviously, you have to have good body position. He's got good body position, he uses good body position to be able to put himself in a position to make those plays. He's got strong hands, and then being able to judge the ball in the air and track the ball in the air. So I think that that's obviously a trait that he has that's pretty good.
So the numbers of your penalties during the preseason games. I don't know them offhand, but did they improve from that first game in camp?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of the penalties happen with a lot of young players. I feel like we have done a good job on teams and throughout our roster of expressing how important it is to play a clean game, make good decisions at the point of attack, not make dumb penalties, don't do dumb things that are going to hurt your football team. So, and really, I think a lot of the results of penalties are you're using bad technique, bad footwork, you're not in the right spot. So, and then just telling our guys, like, we want to make good decisions.
How important is it to have core guys on your units to have the special teams that you want? And who would you say are like your core guys, like the Matt Adams and those type of guys?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the guys that don't play, really, that have like starting roles offensively and defensively. I think that you have those backups in those key positions. Typically, I would say like amongst the league, most of your core is going to come from defensive positions, linebackers, the third, fourth, fifth safety, the fifth corner on the roster. Hopefully you can have some offensive players that contribute in some capacity, whether it's, the third running back. Hopefully you can have a tight end contribute, like Harrison Bryant helps us out. So that's a positive, because then when you get those contributions from the offensive positions, then it pulls a little bit back off the defense. When you don't have contributions from offensive players, if you don't have a running back that really does much, if you don't have a tight end, then it's really stressing those defensive positions, and you may need to carry another defensive player to the game to do so. So guys that can do multiple things, position flexibility is a big thing. Acquiring Pierre Strong was a good thing for us, because he had special teams experience in New England. So I think that's definitely value. That's having value.
On the bubble, how is the message from over the summer, as they're trying to make names for themselves and earn spots on this team, how does that translate now as you approach the regular season in week 1?
Yeah, Coach Stefanski and I, we've definitely hit our guys hard on, special teams, especially like if you want to contribute, you've got to be able to have a role on special teams. Even our starters have a role. You may be a corner that starts on our punt return unit or starts on our field goal block unit, whatever it is. Everybody has some type of role, and I think that these young guys are realizing now, especially, that the roster's been cut down, that they may not be seeing as much offensive or defensive opportunities as they had hoped, and now they're hoping and wishing that they had these special teams opportunities. So, and when you make plays on teams, then it's noticed, and then a lot of times you're going to get more opportunities offensively and defensively.
Just a couple more.
What's it going to be like for you to be back out there at Cleveland Browns Stadium? I mean, have you thought about that? What it's going to be like when all the the fans are there and the lights are on, and might you be running up and down the sidelines, or how do you think this is going to go for you?
I'm excited. I'm definitely excited about this opportunity. I'm excited for our team and our season. Want to be able to help our team win in any way, shape, or form. So, going to do my best to put our players in position to make plays, and it'll be exciting when we're making them.
There were only like 3 or 4 punt return touchdowns last year, I think. Probably less than that kickoff returns. Why is that happening? Why is it so down?
How many kickoff returns were there?
I'm not sure. I thought it was less than even 3, right?
Yeah. I would say I would have to credit some of that, like as far as the punt return stuff, to the specialists. The punters are doing a good job of placing the ball with hang time. There's a lot of really good punters in the league currently. Coverage units have probably been better. And then as far as kickoff returns, not exactly sure. I think, and I'll reiterate this too, I think that play is a safe play. I really do. I think it is a safe play. Just after going back through a lot of film over the last 6 months or whatever it's been, I think that is a safe play, and I'm excited to be able to coach it up this year.
Going back to the returners, given his versatility and all the things he can do, could Elijah Moore be in play as a returner at some point? Yeah,
so Elijah definitely works his ball handling. He catches punts every day. He did it in college, so if we need him, he'll be ready to roll.